Hello. In today's world, where women are very much involved in the workforce, there's many ladies that give lectures. That's part of the job. Lectures, give classes, and the question is that permitted? Also, the question would come around when a woman wants to say Dvar Torah on Shabbat, when there's people besides her family, there's guests. She says Dvar Torah. People are listening. Is that permitted? Can a woman say a class in shul when there's men there? Is that permitted? All those questions. We need to first address the Gemara. Gemara in Kiddushin, Daf Ayin, Amar Shmuel, Kol Beisha Erva. Shmuel is specifically talking about saying hello to a woman. Is that permitted since the woman is going to respond and say hello back? The Gemara says on that, Kol Beisha Erva. It's not permitted. The Rashba explains that the voice of a woman is not permitted for men to hear only in this very scenario when there's a relationship of saying hello one to the other. When you do that, you say how are you, hello, shalom. When you do that, there's a certain connection with that voice, and then such a thing should be avoided. Otherwise, just to deal with different things, you just need something, you go to a store, you pay the cashier, you ask how much it is, or whatever it is. That's not something that's building a relationship, such as asking how she's doing, or saying, again, the word shalom, which is specifically not permitted. Such things don't fall under the Kol Beisha Erva Isur. Others learn that the Kol Beisha Erva is specifically about hearing the woman singing. As we all know, that a man should not hear a woman singing, but otherwise things would be permitted. Therefore, when a woman stands in front of a crowd, or there's even a small amount of people, and she says a Dvar Torah, she says a lecture, she says a class, then we need to differentiate over here between the scenario of where she is. If she's standing, then the man is looking at her full figure. That should be avoided. This is how Moshe writes in Igrot Moshe Chelekei or Chaim Chelekei. He says the following. First of all, he says that obviously men and ladies should not sit together in mixture. They should be separated. He says, "Ma sheyoshvim hashom'im b'taruvot hu chisaron gadol." And secondly, he says that if it's done not on regular basis, it's not a class that you have on weekly basis or so on. Rather, it's arai be'alma. It happens once in a while. Could be permitted, he says, only if she sits, as we explained, and she should do it in a very modest fashion and way. And also, he says, "Yesh la'asot zot b'bayit prati davka lo bebet knesset or bebeit midrash." It should not be done in a shul or a bet midrash. In a house, it's okay. That's the requirements of Moshe Feinstein. Rav Falk in Sefer Levusha Shel Torah, he says that he doesn't understand what's written over here. How could that be permitted? He says that could be that it was this response of Moshe was not written by him. Maybe some words were inserted into that answer, not from him, and therefore he says that definitely that should be avoided. And this is how the Shevet HaLevi also, of Shmuel Vosner, writes. He says that of course it shouldn't be permitted, and he writes that the reason is kivan shebemeshech neuma darka le'an'im kola. The way is that when you give a class or when you give a lecture, then you try to make sure that your voice sounds nice. You try to make sure that people enjoy the class that you are giving. It's not just giving information, it's also the giving, the way you give it over. And therefore, such a woman that stands in front of people would make sure that she gives it in the best possible way. There's also body language that comes along with that, and therefore it says lachnif hashom'im kayadua. Therefore, for all these reasons, he says that it's not worse, it's not better then saying hello, as we explained in the beginning, that saying hello to a man or men saying to a woman gets a certain connection between them. Over here, when you are speaking such a fashion, such a way, and you're standing there for a few minutes and sometimes much longer, there's also a certain feeling that come along with that when a person hears somebody speaks for such extended amount of time. As we explained before also, especially if the woman appears attractive or she stands that the body is showing as well, and so on. Such things, the Shevet HaLevi says, definitely should be avoided. So you have over here two opinions, and just to recap, Moshe, that is the more lenient opinion, would say that it's permitted if she sits and she speaks in a very modest way. It's very important the way you give over a lecture, the way you speak generally, because that basically is the theme of modesty, of tzniut. Tzniut is about the way you are presenting yourself. People think that tzniut is only about the dress code. It's not only about the dress code. It's much more than that. Dressing is just one topic in tzniut. Much more important than the way a person dresses is the way a person reacts to things, the way a person behaves, the way a person interacts with people. Because when you see a man and you give him a big smile, then there's a certain connection over here that's much worse than any way that a woman would be dressed. Because by dressing, you don't necessarily get connection. By smiling, by speaking, by complimenting, those things could be much worse.